Okay, the things I have learned in this short life of mine, but I've lived. Yeah, and that is what is important. My rapping bundles have definitely depleted, but I'm gonna work on it ASAP because it's embarrassing now. Sure, gang, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Zumba, and this is Uncomfortable Growth. Please do subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. Like, share, comment, all of that good jazz. Follow me on Instagram if you don't do that. But I was live just now because I was recording a video, but it wasn't necessarily working. Siwa and Kat also know that I'm the queen of starting again. As soon as I'm like, this is not it, I'll let it go. So Namhla, who follows me on Instagram and who was on my live, advised that I record a 22 things I learned at the age of 22. So I thought that was super cute. That is what we will be doing today. Yeah. I'm sipping on the wine that was left over from the wine tasting what? See what I'm saying? Yeah, vibes. He vibe. Okay. The first thing I've learned is patience. To be patient with myself and patient with the people that are around me. It goes two ways. I've now realized that, like, guys, it's very important to be patient with people because we're not necessarily sure about what they're going through. People often aren't vocal about the things that they're going through, so be patient with someone because there will be a day where you need someone to be patient with you. As someone who struggles to be vulnerable, you know, sometimes, I've learned to be patient with my friends who struggle to do the same because I get it. Also, patience in the sense that it may not happen now, but it'll happen sometime. It didn't work now, but it may work later. Yeah, just kind of go with the flow of life and God's plan. So that's what I've learned. That's the first thing. The second thing is to not be a cool girl. I've made a whole video about this. I kind of have a series about it on my channel, but I've learned to be unapologetic about the things that I want in a relationship and not feel stupid about speaking up about them. You know, like, this is the kind of love I want. This is what I want from a marriage, and that's that. If you can't bring that to the table, I do. Simple. So don't be a cool girl. Don't not speak up. Just don't be a cool girl. The third thing I've learned is that you're allowed to feel sexy. That is something that I've only come to terms with this year. Before then, I'd often feel guilty for, like, feeling sexy or wanting to express that side of me. But the older I get, the more I realize that, like, you know, it's a big part of me. And I think I've spoken about this on my channel before, but I've just learned that there's so many different parts to myself. I don't necessarily have to be one thing and not the other. I think that's what's so beautiful about people, especially women, is that we can be so many different things at once. So I'm embracing my sexy and I'm having a good time. The next thing I have learned is to trust myself, trust my instinct, especially when it comes to boys. Guys, the first red flag is enough. We don't need a second anymore. We don't need a third. If someone genuinely values your time and values you, they will act accordingly. If you feel that something is off, don't allow for the nigga to gaslight you. Trust yourself. You know? So that's what I've learned. The next thing I've learned is, I think I've redefined my definition of self-worth. In my earlier years in varsity, my self-worth was heavily dependent on the opinions of others. And, you know, those aren't the facts. I do not think it's realistic to say that, you know, screw the opinions of others and, like, your self-worth should only come from yourself, or validation should only come from yourself, because my friends and my family validate me, you know, but I think I'm in a good place in that I have very good close friends. I have a very good close group of friends, and I obviously trust my family, and I understand why their opinions mean so much to me because they know me, whereas I often used to take on the characteristics that other people gave to me, you know, and I used to try my hardest to fight against it, and those aren't the vibes, guys. Those aren't the vibes. When you know who you are and you know what you're worth and you know where you're going. I obviously am Christian. I've spoken about my relationship with God. Once I realized that I am who God says I am, I realized that I'm unstoppable. And so and if you can't turn me, you know, and if you don't see that in me, you got to go. I've learned to embrace myself fully. I've learned to embrace the different parts of myself. I think I struggled with that for a while. I kind of always boxed myself according to what people thought I was. So it's like, oh, so you guys think I'm this, so obviously I have to act accordingly. But like, there's so many different parts of me, and I'm learning to embrace the good and the bad. Embrace the bad in that as soon as you acknowledge your weak points as a person, you can work towards them. I've also learned to embrace the way that I love people. Captain C, we've kind of touched on it before. I really do have the ability to go hard. You know, I go hard for my friends and family, like I go hard. So I obviously have the potential to go hard for a nigga. And that's a beautiful thing, and I shouldn't be ashamed of that. I obviously just know now to protect my peace and not share that with everyone. But you're just embracing all that I am and embracing where I am in life. You know, I know that I'm working towards something, and just because I'm not there, it doesn't mean that where I'm at now is not worth celebrating, because it is. I've learned that what is for others may not be for you. So in high school, when different varsities came to speak to us, I was hell-bent on going to varsity just because my peers were going, and at the time I think it's something that interested me, but I wasn't doing any introspection at the time. You know, I kind of knew that I wanted to be in media-ish, but I was like, you know what, just bash the degree first and then we'll see that later, which obviously isn't a bad idea. And if you're doing that and you're almost done, definitely crawl to the finish line if you have to. But guys, I'm in such a good place. I personally don't think that I've been this happy and this content in my life ever, and that's because I've taken a path that not many take. You know, I haven't finished school. I obviously do intend on finishing it, so I took a break, but only now am I realizing how badly I needed that break. So if you want to do something that most people aren't doing, do it. You have nothing to lose. Do it. And if there's a voice inside of you that's encouraging you to do that, you're not crazy. Trust yourself. The next thing I've learned is that, guys, if he's a bad kisser, don't go further. I think that, like, you know, I understand. Maybe you think, Uguti, Lomuntu is bad at this, but maybe they're good at, you know what I'm saying? But the reality is, Oaks, if Umuntu is bad at the basics, the 1-2, 1-2s, what are the chances that they're going to be good at the whole shebang? Also, kissing is a very small part of intimacy. I mean, it's a big part, like kissing is intimate, but you guys know what I'm alluding to. Kissing is a small part of intimacy in that if you can't do this, like, it's almost impossible, you know? Yeah, guys, if they're a bad kisser, I've just learned to did it there. I personally don't think I'm in the business of teaching people how to kiss. Maybe if I like someone enough, I would try. I doubt it. But if they can't kiss, don't go further. The next thing I've learned is that no is a sentence. It does not need a justification. It does not need an explanation. And I mean this in every sense. If someone asks for you to do something and you're not comfortable with it, you get to say no. If you're with a partner, be it anyone, and they want to do things that you're not ready for, you get to say no, and that is enough. If you are in the process of doing things with someone and they want to take it a step further and you're not comfortable with that, no is a sentence. Guys, you don't ever have to explain to someone why you don't want to do something. I'm obviously now just explaining in the sexual sense. If you don't want to have sex with someone, if you don't want to give someone your number, if you don't want to kiss them, if you don't want to go further, it's no. Especially ladies, like, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to have a reason for not wanting to have sex with someone, or you don't have to have a reason for not wanting to have sex with your boyfriend in that moment. You're not up for it. It's a no. No is no is no. And I think when I realized that no is a sentence, it was just so liberating, because, like, Joe, guys, it's so tiring saying no and then coming up with bullshit reasons when it's really just no. So that is something I've learned, and I've held on to that. The next thing I've learned is to be selfish. There's nothing wrong with being selfish with your time, being selfish with your energy, being selfish with your love. And when I say selfish, I mean that, like, it's cool to keep a piece of you for yourself, and it's cool to say no to certain things because you're not down for them, or it's cool to keep to yourself because you're uncomfortable with things. It's okay to be selfish. Like, it's okay to do what's best for you and not what's best for other people. Yeah, I think it just applies in any aspects. Obviously, don't be a selfish human being. That can't be a whole characteristic, but it's okay to be selfish in certain aspects, 110%. The next thing I've learned, I don't necessarily know how to phrase it, but like I've learned who God is. I grew up in a Christian home, went to church all the time. And I think that I only built my own personal relationship with God in like 2017, end of 2016, beginning of 2017. And that has been so fulfilling for me. I personally, guys, I definitely need to have my friends, especially Kat, on this couch, or like record a video where we speak about how dark my days were. And had I not learned who God is and grown a beautiful relationship with him, I wouldn't be here. And I think that just growing an understanding of who he is for yourself is so important. I've also realized that you can't explain your relationship with God to anyone else, just because a relationship in every sense is so personal. You know, it's between two people. There are things that work for you and that person. So I think it's very important for people to it's important for people to have their own relationships with God, and that's something that I'm growing daily. I've learned that hard work pays off. I didn't necessarily learn that in the context of school, because like high school wasn't that hard. It's like, hey, go home, study, cool, bang, get good marks. I didn't learn that in the context of varsity either, just because I was aware that the reason I couldn't apply myself or work as hard as what I wanted to were for other reasons, my mental health. But where I have learned that is my YouTube. Guys, I actually don't want to speak about it because I might get emotional, but the growth of my YouTube touches me deeply. But in terms of hard work, I mean in that in the beginning, like, you know, I made a vow to myself to be consistent, and then I did the 3-week challenge, and like, cool, I was growing I would be lying if I said that like from the beginning I wasn't aware that my channel was growing quickly. Like the fact that I got 1,000 subscribers in the time in which I did was amazing. But I feel like now in life, or where I am right now, I'm definitely reaping the benefits of the hard work that I did in the beginning of my, of my channel. Yeah, guys, hard work really does, it really does pay off. I see that in my parents' lives. I'm eternally grateful for what my parents have done for me. I've never lacked anything, luckily, thank God. I see it again in my friends. Like my best friend graduated today with her honors. She's working towards her masters. That is a hard-working gal. My other friends who are just doing great things and achieving things. Hard work generally pays off, and it doesn't seem like it then, but just keep riding the wave. And you'll see some things. Oh, I've learned to live and have fun. Guys, life is short. My mom always says this to me. She's like, babes, you're not going to be as cute as what you are now. I mean, she's lying because I'm always going to be cute. But she's always like, you're not going to be as cute as what you are now. But I think when she says that, she means that in the sense of the things that I can get away with now, I may not be able to do that when I'm older. Just via responsibilities and all of that good jazz. So yeah, guys, like I'm in a really good space. I want to try new things, obviously, when I can. I want to be reckless responsibly. I want to make as many memories with my friends, just because the older we get, the more consumed we're going to be with our own lives and our careers and like families one day. So live life, guys. Like take every opportunity you can. If it doesn't work out, it's a lesson, and that's that. Brush it off and continue moving forward. That's it. The next thing I've learned is to be okay with vulnerability. I'm still working towards this, in that I'm comfortable in speaking about the things that I've dealt with in the past, but when I'm going through something, I do struggle to be vulnerable. I won't lie to you guys, I definitely still do like equate vulnerability with weakness. Sometimes, especially when I'm going through something, I really do struggle to like speak about it, because I'm like, you're being weak. So I think that's just an ongoing process, but I'm definitely in a better place. I've made so much more progress now than where I was. The next thing I've learned is that no one knows you like yourself. Guys, trust yourselves. Trust yourselves. Of course, my friends know me very well, and my family does too, but in my heart of hearts, I know what's good for me, and I know what I need to do. Yeah, I think that again, we often like this thing of over-explaining ourselves or invalidating ourselves and thinking like, you know, and it's good to have a soundboard. There's certain things that may happen to me that I'll be like, friend, I'm feeling this way about this, like give me your opinion. But there's other things where I'm like, okay, I know Gugu and I know what's important to her and I know what bugs her and this is not it, so let it go. But zithembe, trust yourself. Guys, you've been with yourself the longest, you know what I'm saying? Like you yourself know your thoughts, and you should trust the process and trust your growth 110%. The next thing I learned was that groove is never ending. Oaks. You know, groove is a lovely time. It's a lovely time. Obviously, we miss it right now as a country, but guys, and I used to hate it. I used to hate it when my mom used to say to me, parties are never ending. There'll be another party. Because at the time, I felt like the world was ending. I literally was like, this lady doesn't understand that if I don't go to this party, I'm a nobody. You know what I'm saying? But good times are never ending, and sometimes you have to choose yourself over a good time. You have to choose whatever you're working towards over a good time. You have to be disciplined. So what I've learned now is that good times are never ending. I mean, obviously right now with Corona, it feels like they are, but I know that there'll be a time in the future when I can have fun again with my friends, you know, and there will be another groove. The next thing I've learned is that boys are many. My mom says to me, my mom's been saying this to me since first year, boys are buses. When one leaves, another arrives. Do you understand? Park station. That's the cycle. There are so many boys, and I think that I was hell-bent for a very long time in believing that like, there's no one better for me, ha 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 ha. Again, if that is the case, I do believe that what is meant to happen will happen, and you know, you'll find yourself with that person again. But boys are many. There's so many different types, guys. There's so many different variations. Taste them all. Kilibata one by one. Do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, now is the time to live. Crazy, I never used to think like that until this year. You know, I'd always known niggas were there, but I was like, oh yeah, whatever. But now I'm like, yo, niggas are there. So take your time also. Like, not every guy that shows you attention deserves your attention. You know, not every guy who shows you attention deserves to date you or deserves to speak to you. Yeah, guys, boys are so many. Boys are so many. The next thing I've learned, which is also something I've learned recently and something I'm still working towards, is becoming adaptable. I'm a creature of habits. I think that has a lot to do with my anxiety, and that like I like to know how things are gonna go. I like to keep it cute at all times. I don't really like to change out of the blue, but my life has changed so much this year. Like, I came to Cape Town thinking I was gonna continue at school, and I didn't. And I've had to adapt, you know, and I've adapted really well. But again, I'm transitioning into another change, and I'm very anxious about it. But I'm just learning that like life comes and goes, things happen. And as long as you have the attitude of being positive about whatever's coming your way, you'll be good. So adaptability it's a very big thing, guys. It's importante. The next thing I learned is accountability. The most important person you need to be accountable to is yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, you will struggle to be honest with other people throughout your life, 110%. I think there's so much strength in saying that, okay, yo, I was wrong here and this is what I can learn from it. Obviously we make mistakes, you know, to learn lessons. And yeah, I think that right now for me, it's very important that I'm accountable of myself and of my actions for my friends and family. Because obviously they're the people I interact with the most. Yeah, and it's just important to be able to say, yo, Lamo, I was very wrong there, and learn from it, and that's that. Dust yourself off and continue walking. The other thing I've learned is forgiveness. This is something I'm struggling with still, but I'm getting there. I'm very good at forgiving others, terrible at forgiving myself. I'm my biggest critic. I swear I've said this so many times. Yeah, I think it's obviously I think it's harder forgiving yourself when you realize that you've hurt others. But it's always important to realize that you deserve forgiveness. and that you yourself will never be at peace until you forgive yourself, and you will never be able to work towards being a better person until you forgive yourself and free yourself from your past. So I think forgiveness is something that's always going to be on my list. I think it's an ongoing journey. It's something you work towards throughout your life. But again, I'm in a better place than where I was in the beginning. I think I've forgiven myself for a lot. I know I have, because if I hadn't, I definitely wouldn't be putting myself out there, and I wouldn't have started a YouTube channel. The second last thing I've learned, I wrote down relationships, and what I mean in that is that, but what I mean by that is that what I've seen is that it seems so much easier for people to invest in romantic relationships than their friendships or their relationships or their relations with their family. I think that a relationship is a relationship is a relationship. Whether it is romantic, whether it is platonic, whether it is with God. You make time for the people you love. You know, you make time for date night because you understand how important that is. You understand that keeping the fire alive and constantly communicating is super important. Same thing with my friends. I'm trying to make time for them, you know, to connect, to catch up, for us to just speak. Same thing with God. Hopefully I will sometime soon record my new morning routine. It's like any other relationship. You make time to speak. You make time to spend with your partners. You will make time to spend with God and be in His presence. You understand why date night is important, so you'd understand why spending time with God is important. You understand why spending time with your significant other is important, so you will understand why spending time with your friends is important. In order for a relationship to grow and to flourish, you have to feed it. And guys, we don't only feed our romantic relationships. That's not how it works. Life is full of different relationships, and if you don't nourish them, it really could be a pity, because I personally think that the most growth that we do often comes from relationships outside of our actual relationships. I actually feel like our other relationships almost help us become better people for like our relationships. Okay, but I'm going off on a tangent. And the last thing I've learned, number 22, is to be unapologetic about everything. Guys, go after everything ruthlessly. Don't hold back. Be unapologetic in your happiness. Be unapologetic in your friendships, in your relationships. Be unapologetic about the things that you want, about the things you know you deserve. Be unapologetic in your happiness. Be unapologetic in expressing yourself. Be unapologetic in the person that you are. There's so much to celebrate. People often like to nyatsa people who aren't sure of themselves, you know, because you can see it. But when you honestly commit to life and you commit to yourself and commit to living the most honest life for yourself, I think it's the most rewarding thing ever. So be unapologetic about everything that you do. Every single little thing that you do. Yeah, I think that's my 22 things. Wonderful. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave you there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I will be seeing you on Wednesday for Music Wednesday. Thank you again so much, guys, for the support and for the love. I honestly do appreciate it. To being young, active, and attractive. Cling, cling, motherfuckers.